map that's favorable to Democrats in this year's elections. The High Court rejected a last-ditch plea from state Republicans and the Trump administration. A federal judge has ruled that immigration agents in Oregon must stop arresting people without warrants unless there's a risk of escape. AP correspondent Karen Shamas reports a key nuclear pact between the U.S. and Russia has expired.
The New START Treaty, a nuclear arms pact between the U.S. and Russia, has expired. That means this is the first time in 50 years that there are no caps on atomic arsenals between the two nations, sparking fears of a nuclear arms race. Russian President Vladimir Putin has expressed readiness to stick to the treaty's limits for another year if the US agreed. President Trump has been non-committal, saying that he wants China to be a part of it, a push that Beijing has rebuffed. China's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian told a news conference that China would not participate in the treaty because China's nuclear forces were not at all on the same scale as Russia and the US. He also said China calls on the US to resume nuclear dialogue with Russia soon and to positively respond to Putin's suggestion of an extension. I'm Karen Shamas.
Iran and the U.S. will hold nuclear negotiations tomorrow in the Middle Eastern country of Oman. Tensions are high after Iran's bloody crackdown on nationwide protests. President Trump told NBC News that Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, should be very worried. More stories at apnews.com. This is AP News. AP correspondent Ed Donahue reports on a politically inspired name change at the Winter Games.
A hospitality stop at the Winter Olympics in Italy for U.S. athletes has a new name. Ice House is now being called Winter House. Protest against ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement in the U.S., have set off tensions in Milan at the Olympics because of the presence of ICE agents there. USA Hockey, USA Speed Skating, and U.S. Figure Skating sponsor what is now Winter House. They say the hospitality concept was designed to be a private space, free of distractions, where athletes, their families, and friends can come together to celebrate the unique experience of the Winter Games. Figure skater Amber Glenn says it's unfortunate the term ice isn't something we can embrace because of what's happening and the implications of what some individuals are doing. I'm Ed Donahue.
And I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few scattered snow showers here for today with cloudy skies, a high into the lower 30s. We'll have southwest winds around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 25. Then for tonight, a chance for snow, freezing rain, and sleet mixing late, cloudy skies, and temperatures holding steady. By Friday, chance for snow, freezing rain, and sleet mixing early, then becoming all snow. Cloudy skies, a high of 37. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 18.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
Trust is earned. That's why I've stuck with Straight Talk. Same price since 2009 on Verizon's 5G network. Cause shoot, anyone can make a promise. Keeping it for years, that means something.
Now plans starting at $25 a month with 4 lines. Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Same price claim applies only to the base monthly price of our $45 plan from October 2009 to present.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chu. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chu.
Good Thursday morning, progressives. Welcome to the February 5th, 2026 edition of Choose Views. 773-763-9278 is the number. Hit us with a call or a text. You can find my show on Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, and YouTube. Also, email me at richard@wcpt820.com. And follow me on all the socials, X, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Blue Sky, Threads, Spoutable, and Substack. We land there every now and again and drop some good information. Most definitely catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. There you can get Choose Views, featured interviews, as well as Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive. The great Patty Vasquez driving you home. It's The Democracy, Stupid, with wonderful Edwin Eisendrath out Chicago, and our other shows and interviews. And make your way over to heartlandsignal.com. We are going to be super busy as a team, as a station, these next 72 hours. From our guests in the studio, our guests that are calling in, our special events that we're doing, the Senate candidate forum tomorrow at the Union Hall. I mean, we're just, we're blessed to be able to, as a station, as an organization and a newsroom, to be able to do the work that we're doing. So make your way over to heartlandsignal.com. Tons of articles there and posts that I want you guys to check out, because it's a good opportunity to share and share alike. Got to keep it moving this morning, because on today's show is our wonderful friend, film producer, Greg Palast, who's actually in studio with me right now. And then after Greg, we have Lieutenant Governor from Virginia, Ghazala Hashmi. In the 7 o'clock hour, we have Pastor James Gailliard from North Carolina, who's running for state senate there, and will be part of part of the folks that we'll be visiting in a couple of weeks when I do the town hall down in North Carolina. And then in studio at 7:30 is Dr. James Fisher, Dr. Thomas Fisher, who's running for Congress here in Illinois. So there you go. Then tomorrow, Mayor Johnson, Karen Byrne from True Blue Politics podcast. What can I tell you? We've got the Senate candidate forum. So much is happening. But as I said to you guys on Monday, every day this month, I was going to feature something, some words, some reading, some statements, some historical perspective on Black history and what that means to the country. Because as I say, Black history is American history. So check this out, progressives.
For a long time, we had this very bad habit of only representing slavery as trauma, as violence, and forgetting, as Toni Morrison pointed out, that there's something else there. It's not just about the violence. It's not just about the traumas. It's not just about the horrors. And as a matter of fact, the most remarkable thing about the Black freedom struggle is that in the midst of all of that, because we can't deny that violence and that trauma and those horrors took place, but in the midst of that, Black people learned how to create beauty.
Yeah.
So right now, in this crazy time that we are in as a country, there's some tremendous. Here's what I want the country to do during Black History Month this year, if no other time in your life. Use it as a tool to find out how to fight through, how to find that joy, how to work together, how to partner, to push back against this authoritarian regime. I said last May, we're not heading toward, we were in authoritarianism then. And so if there is a lesson that anybody of any community, any culture, any color, any race, any religion, gender, all can learn from the civil rights movement and what Black folks endured for 250 plus years, is to find collective energy by working together for a common cause. And in doing that, through all that hell that we go through, we see joy on the other side of that. And I promise you that if we can all learn lessons from the civil rights movement, that it will push us and inspire us to fight hard like they did then. And in this moment, the words of an Angela Davis, who was where that clip came from, she speaks the truth. And that's a woman that saw some hell during her fighting days, her younger days. So my Black History moment today is about what Miss Angela Davis said, and that is to find joy on the other side of this hell that we're going through. But to get there, we have to come together and fight together, not against each other, in this process of winning this battle and beating back this regime. So we're going to take a quick break, early break this morning. 773-763-9278 is the number. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 in Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Excuse me, miss. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Can you recommend a bank that offers a full suite of commercial banking products along with excellent service?
Yes, ABOC.
What about a bank that has been in Chicago for more than 100 years and really understands the local business climate?
ABOC.
But I manage a labor union. Can you recommend a bank that really understands how labor unions operate and what banking products they need?
Again, ABOC. ABOC first opened its doors in downtown Chicago in 1922 and understands the local business climate better than anyone. ABOC was founded by labor unions and still has union employees and shareholders today, so they really understand how unions tick and how their needs may be different. But whether you're with a labor union or another type of business, whether you're large or small or something in between, ABOC will always make you feel like you're their most important customer. Visit ABOC.com to learn more.
Wow, thank you, random person on the street. I'm going to visit ABOC.com today.
Member FDIC. You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Richard Chu's got his eyes on the truth. And you're right where you need to be. This is Chu's Views.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show, and thanks for being with us this morning. There are people who, we were just talking about this during the break, that have been in this fight for a long time. I talked about my sister, Linda, who 75 years old, been in this fight for a long time. I talk about this from the perspective of women's rights when I talk to her and what I've learned from her over the years. But one of my other heroes and fighters that you guys all know is Greg Palast. And Greg is a filmmaker. He's a author. He is a New York Times bestseller. But at the end of the day, Greg is a fighter that has made it, certainly this part of his life's work, he was just saying, still in the fight. Greg is a fighter, and he's a believer, and he's a knower that we, like Miss Davis said, and that's why I wanted to play that clip today, knowing that Greg would be with us, that you just can't give up. You can get tired. We're gonna get tired. We do get tired, but we can't give up. We have to stay in the fight. Greg, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Richard. Angela Davis was my philosophy professor at UCLA. I don't want to admit that I'm that old, but
hey, man, part of admitting that we are of a certain age is the fact that we made it to that certain age.
Yeah, okay. I guess I get points for not falling over in the streets.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. So, by the way, if you want to see Richard, who is far more handsome than he sounds, in person, Richard and I will be at the Unitarian Church tonight, the Unitarian Church of Hinsdale, showing my film Vigilantes Inc, America's New Vote Suppression Hitmen, and that will be at 6:30 p.m. It's kind of sharp. At the Unitarian Church of Hinsdale on Maple Street in Hinsdale, 6:30 p.m. and we'll do a Q&A after we see my film Vigilantes, which the Chicago Tribune, I'll quote them because it's great.
You got to quote it.
If they said a negative thing, I wouldn't, I admit, but they said this is investigative journalism at its entertaining best.
That's right.
So you will laugh, you will cry, and if you don't get angry, I'm going to pay for your psychiatrist.
Yeah, the anger part. You getting angry is a thing that we don't have to shy away from. If something's not where it should be, you should get angry about it. And I think that this. I don't think I know this film will inspire you to acknowledge that there are some systemic problems that have been there for a long time, and they're getting worse. By the day now, Greg.
So what's happening now is, look, they're taking apart the Voting Rights Act. And one of the things you're going to get out of this film, for example, just to give you an idea, it opens up when a Republican official, this woman in a red dress looking like Nancy Reagan with the high heels and in her Gone with the Wind mansion in Atlanta, and she had personally challenged 32,000 voters. This is the new thing. That's what Vigilantes Inc. is that in America now, under Trump, you can, in many states, you can challenge another voter. Greg Palast can say, Richard Chew doesn't live in Chicago. Don't let him vote. One person challenged 32,000. When I showed her a picture of one of her African-American neighbors whom she challenged, I said, you know this woman? No. You ever speak to her? No. You challenged her right to vote and 32,000 others. And I said, you know that's a violation of the Ku Klux Klan Act, but that doesn't stop anyone. She says, well, I'm Canadian. And then she is surrounded by loaded guns.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you. And she's got an AR-15 right next to the door, and she chases me out of the house. She says stuff that I had to take out of the film because I would lose my PG rating.
Right.
But, so this elegant woman is like, she's got an automatic weapon. I'm not going to mess with her. But that's just the beginning. And then you have to understand, we use this polite term, and even in my film title, Vigilantes Inc. And by the way, if you didn't catch where to go to Richard. Do you have it up on site somewhere?
I don't think we have it up.
I don't know, but if not, go to gregpalast.com. GREGPALAST.com, and we're going to tell you.
Yeah, Mike's
what's
putting
going
it up
on
now. I think. Yeah.
Okay. What's going on right now?
Well, here's the thing that Greg and I briefly chatted about before we came on the air. You guys, if there's anybody that understands, not just from a filmmaker's perspective and from an artistic perspective, the impact of a film, Greg gets that. And in this moment right now, we need more of it. But what I also want to come back to is this. What's happening right now with the Trump administration in this Atlanta scenario, or this Fulton County grab of the ballots, it's not flying under the radar because it's being talked about, but it's not being talked about in a way that is expansive enough as to how this could become a norm.
Yes.
Because he said that the Republicans that are in Congress should be checking all the ballot boxes and take over the the voting in 15 states. That's the problem that we are going to be facing.
Yeah, I mean, Richard, look, this raid on Fulton County, which if you don't know is the count, that's Atlanta, that's Blacklanta. It's I haven't seen one newspaper say they're grabbing ballots of black people. I haven't seen that one place in the main. It's racial. Now, of course, it's not the color of your skin. It's that they don't like the color of your ballot, which tends to be blue. But they know that if they go after Blacklanta, they can win. So it's not about Trump proving that he won 2020, which is, again, how the mainstream plays it. I work with Gerald Griggs. Actually, he's my personal lawyer, the president of the NAACP Black Voters Matter Fund. And, of course, I'm working. One of the reasons I'm here in Chicago is to meet with my 50 years of friendship with Reverend Jackson.
Right.
Who, by the way, premiered the film first.
That's right.
And Vigilantes Inc. But what's happened is that this is about not 2020, it's about basically stealing 26 and 28. Now, I use the term stealing because my film says vote suppression, but vote suppression is a fancy term for
stealing,
shafting black people out of their votes.
Yep.
Let's just say what it is.
I mean, Fulton County is the county in the country that, well, let me back up. It's the county in Atlanta that is most densely populated with black folks.
Yes.
And it is also one of the more progressive counties in the country.
Yes.
And it is the county that gave the election, earned the well-earned election to Joe Biden in 2020.
And John Ossoff and Reverend
President
Warnock.
That's right.
So, look,
it's
George
not
is
just
blue.
the presidential. It's not just the presidential election. It's the other. Go ahead. You just said something.
Exactly.
You just said something that one of the people that we've had on our show is Sean Harris, who's running for Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat, and he said the same thing. Georgia is blue. I didn't mean to cut you off, but talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, if not for vote suppression, for example, I went into. You'll see in the film. Martin Luther King's cousin, 92 years old. I was at the voting station, cameras on, when she was thrown out. They said that Christine Jordan, no longer lives in Atlanta, voting in the same place 48 years. They said she didn't live in Atlanta. I went to her house, and there was that they said she didn't live in the GOP Secretary of State who controls the election. And there was a picture of Martin Luther King on the wall. She'd been at this same house for over half a century. They took out, that's the story, but she was one of 198,000 people that we calculate, you'll see in the film, were illegally removed from the voter rolls. Illegally removed from the voter rolls, overwhelmingly black people, but some students were thrown in there for good measure. And you'll see her granddaughter in tears because they're standing in the rain. She's lost her vote, but it's not small. It's not small. Yeah. And it's big stuff. It's 200,000 there. It's 300,000 in Michigan. People are being wiped off the voter rolls, and it's overwhelmingly voters of color. This new vigilante challenge system is there's a group, True the Vote. Well, you'll see in the film.
Yeah.
2,000 Mules. There was this film launched by Trump at Mar-a-Lago, which accused black people of stuffing ballots, taking $10 for every illegal ballot they stick in a box, which is ridiculous. He said it came from Mark Zuckerberg and George Soros, so they get to mix their anti-Semitism with their racism. It's nice combo, and it would almost be ridiculous. And they show this guy. They say this black man has a nice car. He's running out of his car. He sticks in the ballots in the ballot drop box, goes back, and this film with Charlie Kirk and his buddies are saying, "Oh, there's O.J. Simpson leaving the scene of a crime." All you're seeing is a black man putting ballots in a ballot box. You'll see this in our film. Yeah. And guess what? His name is Mark Andrews. He's a Verizon executive in Atlanta, and he was dropping off his family ballots legal. And what Trump wants to prove is that black men are stuffing the ballot box. That's why their film is called 2,000 Mules. We have a chunk of it in ours and rip it to pieces because it's all about, you have to understand how important drop boxes are in the African-American community in places like Atlanta and Phoenix and in Arizona and in Texas, where you have a hostile Republican, and I'm not trying to be partisan about it, but it's hostile Republican secretaries of state and voting officials who are making it so hard to vote that people need to use the drop boxes, and they want to close these drop boxes because that is the heart and soul. 70% of African Americans vote early, and they have to stop that if they want to win in 26 and 28. And we're going to show it in the film, and it's both funny and horrifying, but I hope it will lead to action. That's why Richard's joining me again at the Unitarian Church, 6:30 p.m. tonight, Thursday, in Hinsdale.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Check out Richard's site.
It's going to be fun. Guys, you can. I think that they're pulling up the information now. Putting it up, rather, I should say, on the WCPT site, and I'll be talking about it through the course of the day. But I go back. I go back to the 60s as a little boy and watching my parents and family members who were, who migrated to the north from Mississippi in the late 40s, and how they fought for literally the right to be able to go to a place and have impact on the course of our country. And I learned early on that if there's one thing you do in your life as a citizen, however you become a citizen, is to vote, because it's the thing it is at the end of the day, the thing that, as we built this country, and we're coming up on 250 years in July, it's the one thing that does separate us, or has separated us, from pretty much every other country on the planet, is the ability to vote. But it's also, and this is why so many black leaders, so many women of color and not, and so many members of the LGBTQ community are saying, if it didn't matter, when people say my vote doesn't matter, if it didn't matter, they wouldn't be working so damn hard to suppress it, and to suppress it not just by doing what they can do to try to create some legal, story, or legal-esque story, enough to tie it up in court so that the dates pass. But if it didn't, they wouldn't be doing the other things that are going to be viewed as subtle, but then very overt. And that's, I think I said this, Greg, and I don't mean to sound speculative, because I do think this is something that's going to happen, and that is that ICE and all this money that ICE has, all of a sudden, when we get to the last 60 days, 30 days, 2 weeks of election season for the midterms, all of a sudden, ICE's work in terms of dealing with, quote unquote, the illegals BS is going to be turned on elections.
Yes.
And they're going to show up in cities that are blue cities that they want to say that they are protecting. They're going after people who are illegals that might be showing up at the ballot box.
Yeah, so they're going to. Well, the other thing is, Richard, the reason why they grabbed these ballots out of Fulton County, out of Atlanta too, and now they're demanding the voter files of 15 states. They want to use something called the SAVE system to hunt for illegal aliens voting, because they have this idea that millions of people, they've claimed literally that 5 million people have swum the Rio Grande to vote for the Democrats, but they haven't given me a name. Every time I call these guys, well, just give me 5 names, not 5 million. And so here's what they're doing. With the SAVE files, these are the list of people who've been deported from the United States by ICE and Department of Homeland Security. Jose Garcia, Linda Rodriguez, Jesse Jackson. What they're doing is they'll find someone named Jose Garcia has been deported to Salvador, and then they find Jose Garcia on the voter rolls in Georgia and Texas and Florida, and they remove all those other Jose Garcias because they say that they're illegal. This happened one other time when Obama was forced to turn over this SAVE Act file to Florida.
Right.
They removed 180,000 voters. Of the 180,000 voters removed as being not citizens, they found one non-citizen in the end. All those people lost their vote, but only one was charged, an Austrian Republican.
Yeah, I remember that.
In the meantime, you had a lot of people named Martinez and Rodriguez removed from the voter rolls. This is what they're doing right now. ICE is all about winning the election by theft.
And it proved itself when, what's her name? Pam Bondi said, we'll leave if you turn over this information.
The voter rolls of Minnesota, because that's a swing state.
Right.
So they don't care about illegal immigration or any of that.
No.
What they care about is this was leverage to control the elections of Minnesota.
Yeah. And if they really cared about elections, if they really cared about the sanctity of immigration and all that they say that they do, then they would have gotten the heck out of the way in the late summer, fall of 2024 and let the bipartisan bill make its way through Congress. In fact, if that had happened, then we would be on a better track when it comes to immigration. But that didn't happen because ICE was and this enforcement, to your point, has never been about getting people out that shouldn't be here, quote, but really about stealing the election.
Well, look, Trump, you had a bipartisan agreement on immigration, but Trump said he stopped the Republicans from voting. He was actually up front. He said, if you solve the immigration issue,
I got nothing to run on.
I can't run.
Yeah.
And they have a purpose beyond not only making it an issue, but you have to understand behind it is so-called vote suppression. Basically, they have to go after the Hispanic vote, which part of the male Hispanic vote went to Trump, but the polls are showing they've come back to the Democratic Party. He has to stop them from voting.
Right. And even if it means the people who are here legally, born here, and this is what cracks me up, Greg, as we wrap up because we got to go to a break. This is what cracks me up. There are people who have lived here as they migrated to the United States. They've been citizens, and they've lived here longer than some newly born people here in the United States.
Well, absolutely. And you'll see in the film, we go to Arizona, they've got these militia guys with automatic weapons, dressed like RoboCops, standing around the drop boxes. You're in Hispanic areas. You take your family, say, we're going to drop off our ballots, and you see these guys with automatic weapons. This is no joke.
Yeah.
This is no joke. You'll see it in the film. There's a lot of jokes in the film, but this is not a joke.
Yeah.
And so I'll see you tonight.
Guys, tune in if you can. Be there if you can. But most importantly, follow Greg Palast on all the socials. He's been doing this work, he said to me earlier, way too long, Richard, but he stays in the fight. And we're just honored to have him be one of our team members and all the work that he's doing. So, Greg, thanks for hanging out with us this morning. Look forward to seeing you this evening.
Okay.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, guys. 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Talk to doctor now and share it. Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor. Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Visit managerbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association, in partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few scattered snow showers here for today with cloudy skies, a high into the lower 30s. We'll have southwest winds around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 25. Then for tonight, a chance for snow, freezing rain, and sleet mixing late, cloudy skies, and temperatures holding steady. By Friday, chance for snow, freezing rain, and sleet mixing early, then becoming all snow, cloudy skies, a high of 37. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 18.
If you want your children to read, remember, the special ingredient is you. Spend time with your family, building bonds through reading. Those stories, those memories will last forever.
This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chu.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Like I said, we're going to be running very fast this morning, and it was great to have Greg Palast in. Check out his work. Just go to gregpalast.com, and you will see all the work that he's doing. His latest film, Vigilantes, is it's, at the end of the day, it's about voter suppression, but it's also about so much more. And I think it's showing me on this camera. Yeah. Okay, all right, we'll move over there. With us this morning is the newly elected and now sworn in, just exciting person to have. That's Lieutenant Governor Ghazala Hashmi of the great state of Virginia. Good morning, Lieutenant Governor, and welcome to Choose Views on WCPT.
Well, good morning. I'm so delighted to join you again.
Yes, I know. The last time we had you on, so many people were like just so appreciative of you taking the time to do the segment with us, and obviously you and I kind of agreed that two things would happen. The next time that I was that I was in Virginia or DC visiting family, that I'll give you a heads up and make my way down to the state capitol. And the other thing was, once you were sworn in, that we'd have you back on the show, and here we are. So I am so grateful to have you with us this morning. You are the 43rd Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, but you are the first Muslim woman to be the Lieutenant Governor. And I asked you this question before, but now that you've been sworn in, what's that feeling like? What's that bringing to you personally as a new Lieutenant Governor of Virginia?
Well, it's been really gratifying to see the public response to the election, to the inauguration. I'm the first Muslim woman, not just in Virginia but nationwide.
That's right.
So the outreach has been tremendous from people all across the country, all across the world. And what really just delights me is what it says about Virginia, that Virginia was ready to elect someone regardless of faith and gender and immigration status. It's an affirmation of who and what we are as Americans, and it certainly was an affirmation of who and what we are as Virginians.
And it also is a recognition of your history in your political work and your work in education, and just flat out the skill set that you bring to the table. So it's an acknowledgement of all those things, which, I again am so proud of. And you've been one of the things that I think about when I think about you is the word advancing. You've always been about advancing housing, about advancing education, about just access to benefits and resources. And now that you're in that seat as the second highest elected office in the state, you have the ability to really, move that train even faster. So what for you coming out of the gate are going to be a couple of things that you've already, decided to tackle and are going to be tackling in these first, 100 days, as they say?
So before affordability became the buzzword that even Republicans now are using, that was the clear message that many of us were running our campaigns on Virginia, because we recognized that our communities are hurting. There is a serious need to address very, very serious issues. And what was happening in Washington, particularly with the cuts to our federal workforce, the dramatic cuts that we're going to see to healthcare, all of that was sending shockwaves through the system. And so for us now, as we are in this particular session in the General Assembly, the focus really is on bringing those costs down. And top priority is healthcare. We see from H.R. 1 that the impacts are going to be very serious. Hundreds of thousands of Virginians are going to be losing their health insurance if they haven't already, that they are going to be in peril. And we also know that these cuts are impacting our rural hospitals first, but they're going to impact the entire healthcare system. So putting in some structural resilience around our healthcare systems is top of mind. That means plugging in some of the gaps that the federal cuts have now created for the Virginia state budget. So healthcare is first. Also shoring up our food nutrition assistance programs, knowing that the SNAP cuts are impacting so many of our communities, and then really looking ahead for opportunities for Virginians to get better paying jobs, ensuring that they can support their families. We are going to finish raising the minimum wage as we had articulated in legislation in 2020. We're finally bringing the minimum wage in Virginia up to $15 an hour. We know we need to do more, but we're in a better place now than we were last year.
Well, the one thing that comes to mind after this wonderful historic election in Virginia for both you as well as newly elected governor is the trust that the Virginia voters have in both of you and now with the other leaders in the state. Because I felt as a Virginia fan, as a person that has family there, that the state was at an uneasy way because of the leadership, and a repeat of that leadership would have been detrimental in so many ways, because as the phrase goes, and you and I shared this before, as Virginia goes, in many cases, so goes many parts of the nation. So I've gotten a feeling already that there's a sense of calm from people that are there, that the state wasn't going down this potentially dark path with the potential Republican candidate winning. How do you feel about that, and how is that real?
It is so real, it's palpable.
Okay.
You can sense it in the air. You can just sense it in the kind of relief and attitudes of so many. And folks that have voted traditionally Republican have shared that they are so relieved by the new administration, by the work that we are going to be doing. The reality is that Virginia for 4 years had a governor, had an attorney general who were ready to put the rubber stamp on anything that was led by the Trump administration. And Virginia really was a testing ground in so many ways for Project 2025. Mm-hmm. We saw the attacks on education. We saw the attacks on working families. And so what we struggled for 4 years under the previous administration was the reality that so many Americans are now facing in Trump 2.0. And the voters' response in November was a response to that, but also a recognition of the fact that competency, sober leadership, pragmatism and an adherence to the Constitution and the rule of law is what we want here in Virginia. And that's what I feel was restored. And I certainly have sensed that from so many people. I'll tell you a quick anecdote. A few days ago, my office received a call from a constituent. He said, "I'm a Republican. I never vote for Democrats, but I'm glad that you guys are in power right now because I know at least my phone calls will be taken and my issues will be addressed." And if that didn't capture everything, I don't know what will. But
Well,
that says it all.
but that's I think that when we talk about bipartisanship or I'm always advocating about working together, but sometimes we've got to use my phrase, Lieutenant Governor, some people have to sit at the back of the bus while the adults in the room get things done and at the front of the bus. And that's what I think a lot of people, that's the things that I'm reading. I haven't been back since the election. But that's what the sense that I'm getting, that people there realize that the adults are back in driving the bus. And that's going to have impact on the state, obviously, but also the surrounding states and the rest of the country. So great story to hear from a lifetime Republican voter. How is the business community? Because that's one of the other things that, a lot of people don't really realize. So much of what goes on in D.C. goes on in D.C., but there's just an incredible amount of business development that's taken place in the state of Virginia, all over the state. Most certainly, there in the state capitol, but outside of the Beltway. How are businesses, or what's your sense of how businesses feel about this new administration that's there in the state?
I just spoke in front of the Virginia Chamber of Commerce yesterday. We had a few hundred chamber members come in from across the Commonwealth to Richmond to lobby on their personal issues. And so it was a really important opportunity for me to address the chamber members. And at the end of the day, what the business community wants is stability and certainty, to not be surprised by chaos and changing dynamics on the larger economic scale. And sadly, that's what they've been handed by the Trump administration. When you have arbitrary tariffs being imposed that are critically hurting our Virginia ports, which bring in so much commerce from throughout the international stage, when you have a wholesale shutdown of our farmers' ability to sell product overseas. That is the chaos, the uncertainty that harms business. And in addition to that, the attacks on education are harmful to business. This is our workforce. These are the talent and the skills that we need to take the jobs that are emerging. And we are seeing an attrition of international students who traditionally have come to our world-class universities. We are seeing attacks on education that have harmed students' ability to access higher education. And these are the kinds of issues that really impact businesses. And so our efforts in the next 4 years are going to be to respond to the kind of support that our local economies need, that we need to have in order to attract corporate investments in Virginia. And this is going to provide some degree of stability amidst the chaos that we see at the national level.
You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we are talking with newly elected and sworn in Lieutenant Governor Ghazala Hashmi in the state of Virginia. And as I said, and as she said so many times more than I have, as Virginia goes, in many cases the rest of the country goes. So it's nice to see that we've got the adults in the room. Here in Illinois, we have been blessed with that with regard to our governor, our lieutenant governor, AG, Secretary of State, comptroller, are all, extraordinarily competent and successful people and have done great for the state of Illinois. Virginia is, you are in that same kind of situation in terms of the chambers it's just great to see, because I say this all the time, Lieutenant Governor, when we are in control, when we are in power, we get stuff done. Michigan's a good example with Governor Whitmer, and the list goes on. So I'm going to ask you kind of a federal question, and it has to do with this upcoming midterm election. How hopeful are you that we can take back the House of Representatives, and what will that do to impact, and how do you think that will impact the state of Virginia if we are successful in that space?
I think we are in a very strong position to regain the House in these midterms, and we have clear indications of that. You know, the state Senate seat that was just flipped from red to blue in Texas, of all places, that is another sign. The kind of historic margins by which we won in Virginia, flipping 13 House seats as well as taking the 3 statewides. All of these are indications that voters are ready for change and for a competency and leadership. And so those are all excellent signs. My very real concern, I think, that so many Americans share is the stability of the elections. You know, we've seen the raid on Fulton County in Atlanta, Georgia, the efforts to destabilize our our voters, and the confidence of voters in the system, and we have to be so vigilant. We cannot let corrupt powers undermine one of the most sacred rights and the sacred responsibilities of a democracy, which is the right of every citizen to vote. And so this is going to be a fight that every state, every locality must engage in. We have to protect the integrity of the process, and if we if we see an election that is has the integrity built into the system, I'm very confident that we're going to win majority in the House of Representatives. People are sick and tired of what they're seeing coming out of Washington, and this is not America. This is not what they signed up for. Even if they did vote for the Trump administration, this is not what they signed up for.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that appreciate that statement, and they're starting to recognize it more and more. We're sick, and as the late Fannie Lou Hamer said in the course of talking about voting, sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so,
exactly.
So many people, that phrase, that statement from her, or that quote from her, could not be more prescient and important at this point in time. Lieutenant Governor, so we talked a little bit about the federal election and all that, but one of the components to this upcoming election is going to be voter suppression. Right before you were on, we had filmmaker Greg Palast with us, who's put out a wonderful film called Vigilantes, and it's about voter suppression throughout the country. ICE has got a bunch of money, and this is my thinking, and I could be way off. Maybe you can correct me or just add some thoughts to it. ICE has got a lot of money, and my concern is that ICE will show up at voting locations in different parts of the country once we get closer to the election, and that it by itself will be a form of voter suppression. Take me off the ledge if you can, or add some texture to that. Your thoughts?
I wish I could take you off the ledge. I share the same concern. I share the same concern around voter intimidation, voter suppression, and this is not new, sadly, to this country. We've only recently emerged from the efforts to suppress, to intimidate Black voters, Black Americans, and so this is a history that is long and deep, unfortunately, and the tactics may still be in place, and I fear that is going to be the case. But again, we come back to the fundamental responsibility of our local election officials to safeguard the voting process. We also come to our local law enforcement, our local police departments and our sheriffs, many of whom I've spoken to here in Virginia, are frustrated by the ways in which their their own authority has been superseded by ICE agents, and the ways in which that community trust, which has taken generations to build, has been fractured in many ways. And we need to re-empower law and order in order to ensure that we have a voting process that is safe and fair and entirely legal. We've seen in Virginia a rejection of the methods of ICE. There were proposals in 2 of our counties to build massive detention centers. Thousands of Virginians expressed quite a strong opposition to those efforts, and both of those have been rolled back. And that's what we need. We need every American's voice speaking out in outrage, because this is not the country that we believe in and the country that we want to see. These attacks on immigrant communities are absolutely reprehensible. To be an immigrant is not a crime.
No.
And that's what we need to restore our understanding here in this nation.
I completely agree with you. Let's talk about you and Governor Spanberger. You guys are the, take this the right way, the new rock stars there, and you earned it. I mean, you earned every single vote. I followed your campaigns. I was cheering from, all the way here in Chicago, and I know many people across the country from the West Coast up north of you in the Northeast, all in the Midwest, were cheering for you guys to win because of the importance of that state moving in a different direction. How have you guys been? I know, and by the way, kudos to her. I'm giving her a long distance high five. She came right out of the gate, just as you did, day one, and kept her promise in terms of signing executive orders in the manner in which she did. But how are you guys kind of getting this train engine down the track?
Yes, I'm so proud of the amazing work that has already been accomplished, and the executive orders that Governor Spanberger has already issued. And what I'm especially happy about is that she's assembled an amazing cabinet. I've had the opportunity to work with the cabinet secretaries now in the last few weeks here, and the talent, the expertise that each of them brings is only accompanied by their full commitment to Virginia. These are individuals who truly care about the communities they serve, and I am very thrilled that we're going to see such important work happen because of the cabinet and the leadership that they bring to their different agencies. So I think we're going to see some big changes just in this upcoming year on so many different issues. One of the important changes immediately that we're going to see is Virginia's recommitment to working towards a resolution to our energy and climate issues, which cause so much harm in Virginia with coastal flooding as well as flooding inland. We are returning Virginia to RGGI, that Interstate Compact on Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. We are recommitting ourselves to the work of renewable energy to bring costs down and to help address climate change. So those are the kinds of initial steps that we've already taken.
Yeah, it's exciting to see and to hear. So 5 poems for troubled times. Let our listeners all over the country know what that means to you and what they are.
Well, a wonderful reporter from Washington Post had reached out and asked me to speak about the poetry that I lean into during my own work. And as a former professor of poetry, I was, of course, thrilled to have that conversation. And we were able to discuss a wide-ranging set of poetry from W.H. Auden to Carl Sandburg to Rita Dove and others. And these are poems that speak to the situation that I personally see ourselves in. and our need to find guidance through art. It's art that sustains us, whether it's performing arts, visual arts, the arts of literature and poetry. Art gives us our humanity. It provides the shape and structure and meaning of who and what we are as human beings and to our culture. And so it was a lovely opportunity to be able to share a few words on my own experiences through poetry.
And Still I Rise, Maya Angelou, was one of those poems that you denoted, and you have been a full example of one that's still rising. By the time we get to the middle of the year, you will have, right around the same time this country has a 250th commemoration and anniversary, you will be celebrating a birthday as well. So July is going to be a pretty exciting month for you, and in the state that's the state that's part of our nation's capital in many ways. So I'm just, again, Lieutenant Governor, I'm proud of you. I say that respectfully, but I'm also excited for you and the work that you're going to be able to continue to get done for the state of Virginia and, frankly, the nation at large, because of the type of leadership that you and Governor Spanberger will represent for the state, but also for the nation. I thank you for being with us. How can folks find you? I'm sure they'll probably be able to go to your website, but let our listeners know a little bit more about that.
Yes, and I'm sorry you caught me. I don't know my new website's name, but it is something like Lieutenant Governor Hashmi, I think. If you Google it, it will be the official website.
Just Google her name, guys. The last name is Hashmi, Lieutenant Governor, and then you'll find out where she is, and you can check out all that she's doing. But as I said a moment ago, it's an honor to have you with us. We are pulling for you and Governor Spanberger and pushing you guys and supporting you in every way we can. And I'm grateful that you are in that role, because the state definitely deserves it. So thank you again for being with us this morning.
Thank you. And I'm going to hold you to the second promise. When you come to Virginia, please let me know. Would love to catch up with you in person.
Absolutely. I'll make that happen. Thanks for being with us, Lieutenant Governor. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye now. Wow. She is just phenomenal, guys. Y'all got to get after her and get behind her. You have to follow her and what Governor Spanberger are doing in Virginia. They're getting it done. They're doing what we ask them to do. And so let's make sure that we're supporting them and keeping some wind underneath their sails. 773-763 is a number. 773-763-9278 is the number. And you are listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back. WCPT 820 will be hosting a candidate forum for the 3 leading candidates for Illinois' open United States Senate seat in the Democratic primary on February 6th.
Please join us at the Plumbers Hall at 1340 West Washington in Chicago, or listen to the live broadcast.
Representative Raja Krishnamurthy, Representative Robin Kelly, and Illinois Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton will be discussing their stances on the issues and making their case for your vote.
WCPT hosts Patty Vasquez, Richard Chu, and of course Jonas Esposito will be moderating the forum.
To attend in person, go to heartlandsignal.com/WCPT820 and register. We'll have limited seats available, so please register early.
Meet the leading Senate Democratic candidates at a free WCPT Live Candidate Forum at Plumbers Union Hall, Local 130 on Washington Street in Chicago, Friday, February 6th.
The forum starts at 1 p.m. and is sponsored by Plumbers Union Local 130 and Iron Workers Local 63.
Hey guys, this is Tara Devlin for the Political Voices Network. This is America, right? We don't do kings here. No crowns, no thrones, no authoritarian cosplay. That's why we created the No Kings American Flag pin. For the low price of $20.26, that's 2026, we're keeping our eye on the prize here. This well-crafted enamel pin is the standard 1-inch American flag lapel pin. But this one features the patriotic No Kings symbol that defines our rallying cry. It's your quiet way of signaling to other patriots that you believe in democracy, and yeah, that still matters. You can grab yours now at store.politicalvoicesnetwork.com. That's store.politicalvoicesnetwork.com. The No Kings American Flag pin. Get it now at store.politicalvoicesnetwork.com.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. The Supreme Court will allow California to use a new voter-approved congressional map that favors Democrats in this year's elections. The justices previously allowed Texas to use a Republican-friendly map this year, despite a lower court ruling that it likely discriminates on the basis of race. Emergency officials say all patients were safely evacuated after a fire broke out Wednesday night at the Orthopedic Institute at Lehigh Valley Hospital in Dixon City, Pennsylvania. AP correspondent Donna Border has more.
Dixon City Fire Chief Rich Chwanek.
When I arrived, we already had flames through the roof of the office area of the Orthopedic Institute. And as the crews were starting to arrive, we started making a fire attack.
Chwanek says all the patients are safe.
Police, EMS command from Pennsylvania Ambulance took care of evacuating the hospital. All 4 floors of the hospital plus the emergency room were
subpoena for information. In other news, AP correspondent Donna Warder reports on a brutal blow at one of the most legendary newspapers.
The Washington Post is laying off 1/3 of its staff in the newsroom and other departments. The Post began implementing large-scale cutbacks Wednesday. It's getting rid of its sports department and shrinking the number of journalists stationed overseas. Executive editor Matt Murray announced the changes to staff by Zoom. The Washington Post is known in history books for its coverage of Watergate and most recently aggressive coverage of the Trump administration's cuts to the federal workforce. Staff members were told they'd be getting emails with one of 2 subject lines. Their role has or has not been eliminated. Donna Warder, Washington.
More stories at apnews.com. This is AP News. AP correspondent Karen Shamas reports on peace talks between Russia and Ukraine.
It's the second day of talks between Moscow and Kyiv taking place in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates. The discussions come amid increased Russian attacks on Ukraine's power grid and after a rise in civilian casualties. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky urged for an end to the war and emphasized the need for security guarantees to prevent future Russian attacks. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and President Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner, as well as NATO Commander General Alexis Grinkovich, are at the talks. Fighting continues alongside the talks with Russia targeting Ukraine's electricity network. Almost 15,000 Ukrainian civilians have been killed since the start of the war through last December, according to the United Nations. I'm Karen Shamas.
More information at apnews.com. I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
Jennifer King.
And I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few scattered snow showers here for today with cloudy skies, a high into the lower 30s. We'll have southwest winds around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 25. Then for tonight, a chance for snow, freezing rain, and sleet mixing late, cloudy skies, and temperatures holding steady. By Friday, chance for snow, freezing rain, and sleet mixing early, then becoming all snow, cloudy skies, a high of 37. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 19.
Horowitz and Associates. Cliff Horowitz's grandfather started this family law firm, and he always said, you know what, if we're going to get full justice for our clients, we have to go to trial. Trial, though, can be very time-consuming, and that's why most firms won't go to trial. They just settle for the insurance company's offer. But the Horowitz family spent a century going to trial. They're taking cases to trial now, and they're winning many record-setting verdicts. Cliff Horowitz is a third-generation trial lawyer, getting people the full justice they deserve. Call 312-800-8000 or go to horowitzlaw.com.
Chicago's progressive talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
He's not here to yell. He's here to inform and maybe stir the pot. This is Chew's Views with Richard Chew.
Yeah, guys, we're back. Thank you for being with us. And our next guest will appreciates the phrase stirring the pot, because every now and again you got to do that. My listeners in North Carolina, don't miss Building Bridges, a fireside chat, a free event that I'll be co-hosting with North Carolina Democratic Party Chair Anderson Clayton Sunday, March 1st, just 2 days before the state's Democratic primary. We'll be joined by North Carolina State Reps Rodney Pierce and Dante Pittman, along with Pastor James Gailliard, candidate for North Carolina State Senate. An open conversation with North Carolina voters. It's going to be held, of all places, at the World Tabernacle Church in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, Sunday, March 1st from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Go to heartlandsignal.com and click on my picture. There that'll take you to my show page where you'll find information about the event and registration for the link, or send a text to 773-763-9278 and we'll send you the link. And that being said, we do have with us none other than Pastor James Gailliard of the World Tabernacle Church in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. And I just got to say, Pastor, it's great to have you back with us. I knew we would do it again. And between the last time and now, excuse me, we got a town hall that's taking place there in Rocky Mount at the Tabernacle. So I'm so excited, one, to have you on, but really looking forward to being down there in a few weeks to talk to you and some of the other candidates that are running and just meet some of the people that are there to support the great leaders that are there in North Carolina. Welcome to the show this morning.
Well, thank you for having me back. I enjoyed our conversation the last time, and I really appreciate your work. I've been following. And again, thank you for how you are highlighting and amplifying things that really need to be amplified. And I think particularly in ways that need to be without the emotion. I mean, emotion has its place, but without the emotion and really just with the raw data and the raw facts. For my members that might be watching, I want to make one quick correction for you, though. And I told the party to go ahead and correct this. It's actually Word Tabernacle and not World Tabernacle. So.
There we go. That's the information. Word Tabernacle Choir. If I read correctly, then Word Tabernacle Choir. It's church. Word Tabernacle Church. I said choir the other day, and one of our engineers just looked at me and laughed, like, "Slow down, Richard. Slow down." But Pastor Gailliard, thank you for being with us this morning. But also thank you for your leadership. You have this unique kind of, you understand the business of politics. You understand the business of faith, and the criticism oftentimes is, why do we have faith leaders in politics? And the answer that I've come up with, and you talked about this the last time you were on, is that you don't get anything done, even as a church or a faith-based organization, without having understanding that. In the example you use is you don't get your maximum seating approvals without something having to go through a political conversation. And I said you don't get that parking space outside of the church without that interaction. And you've been able to balance the two when you were a state representative in North Carolina, in the House of Representatives in North Carolina, and you run this phenomenal church that has really changed people's lives. How do you navigate the two and balance the two, and given the fact that now you're running again for North Carolina State Senate?
Yeah, and I appreciate the question, and it's something that I'm probably most passionate about, is the intersectionality between pastoral ministry and public policy, because there's really nothing that goes on in our life that is not impacted, good or bad, by public policy. I mean, the fact that we can even freely gather on a Sunday and speak the name Jesus is because our government allows it. I mean, that's just the bottom line. And so, I think people don't recognize how faith and policy, public policy, are so woven in together. I think the better question for me about why is a guy, that's a pastor running for public office, my question to all your viewers and everybody who will listen to this is why are more pastors not running? Because I think we are the people that tend to be closest to the people, having a real passion for what goes on in the lives of people. I'm watching it today. We've had some inclement weather here in North Carolina. a little of an outlier for us. I'm from Philadelphia, so I'm used to snow, no big deal. Here, they panic and fall apart in North Carolina. But our public schools are closed just because of the threat of ICE. And I'm making a very specific public policy case, but our Christian schools and our private schools are all open. And because of the severe underfunding of public schools in North Carolina, we're now witnessing a resegregation of education. And by and large, you're going to see more white kids in school right now than you're going to see black children. And so just a small little example of how our public policy really does shape the next generation and shapes the lives of people that we interact with every day.
Some people might say, and this is not me saying this, it's just I know how a lot of times people think is in opposition. Well, then that means that maybe we should have more private schools and less public schools because of the pushback on public education, which I think is absolutely insane. But there are people out there that would come back and say, yeah, but then that just means more private schools.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about that is that, put 100 people in a room and say, who's a product of public education? 80 to 85 hands are going to go up. And that's going to be the case all over America. That's the equivalent of saying, let's just trash public transit. Everybody just go buy a car. Yeah. I mean, we don't recognize the value. I've been talking to my voters about this, my congregation about this, helping other pastors shape this conversation and argument as well. The overwhelming majority of our doctors, our nurses, our accountants, our phlebotomists, our engineers, I mean, you name it, they're products of public education. And so it is really a public good that is necessary. And so I'm with you. It is insane to me that we are intentionally, deliberately underfunding public education. North Carolina is now 51st, dead last in the country on per pupil funding in education, dead last. And yet we're the #1 state in the country to do business in. And so we probably are, my people in California may fight with me on this, but I think we have the best public education system in America with our UNC system schools, our 58 community colleges, and yet our K-12 and pre-K-12 education is just not keeping pace. And a whole generation of young people and our future is going to get lost because of it. I'm sorry, we got on education.
No, listen, this is the reason that, and again, I'm thankful, and people know this that listen to my show and follow what we do. I'm thankful that we get to talk to what I will say are subject matter experts, or people that have a specific knowledge and understanding of something. That then helps bring out the real meat and substance of a topic. Public education, when you were talking, I was thinking about those numbers, and a couple things popped into my mind. I wrote them down quickly. Earlier in the week, we had a woman on, Sunny Fisher, who is she's a philanthropist here in Chicago. But one of her big items is the public housing museum that's been created here in Chicago. And she talked about this from the perspective of public, whether it be education, funding for healthcare, funding for just social services, and the list goes on. But she talked about public education, public schools, because that's an area, along with public housing, that just continually gets defunded. Underfunded is no longer the word, it's just defunded. And that, by comparison to what on a state college level is happening, that disparity must drive so many of you kind of crazy when you sit back and look at it. But there's some solutions to it. And one of them right out of the gate is policy. But we got to change the leadership there, because your state, unfortunately, is it's at its worst a purple state, but I think it's more of a blue state, but it's just gerrymandered so badly. And Republicans are the ones that have driven it into the ditch when it comes to education, not Democratic leadership. Every time there's large Democratic leadership from the governor's mansion to the state house, you all get stuff done, just like I was talking with Lieutenant Governor Hashmi in Virginia. So what is it policy-wise that you think we have to do to drive a wedge through what the Republicans have? Is it breaking the majority? Is it redistricting in the favor of Democrats? What are you seeing right now?
Yeah, it's definitely breaking the majority. The race that I'm running for, we're one Senate seat short of breaking the supermajority in the Senate. It is the seat that I'm running for. So literally the entire state benefits by this one race. I think we're going to pick up seats in the state house and in the state and House and in the Senate we have great candidates. We always have better candidates in terms of quality of human beings, education, experience, body of work. So we're going to have a very strong turnout. I was looking at my particular race. I was told I'm running in 3 counties, and I was told one of my counties was red. And then my folk crunched the numbers, and like every precinct is won by a Republican by like 20 votes, 30 votes, 40 votes. And so it is very much a purple at worst and blue at best precinct. It's just a matter of us re-engaging voters. We have not done a good job as the Democratic Party, in my opinion, of engaging particularly rural voters. We have put a lot of emphasis in the Durhams and the Charlottes and the Greensboros and the Raleighs of our state, but we've not really engaged rural voters. And so when you look at the map in North Carolina, our Senate map as an example, the more dense the district is, the more likely a Democrat wins it. It's really skewed. So when you look at the 50 Senate seats, when you get to the bottom, most spread out rural areas, like out of 20 of them, I think Republicans have 19 of them. Wow. And it's because we just don't know how to talk to rural voters. I think that's what's going to make this race different, because we are angling the messaging very different, going to where the voters are, running inside of every precinct. And so it's going to take taking back the majority, and it's going to take us then reinstituting new public policy. As an example, opportunity scholarships in North Carolina, Republicans lifted the income cap. So literally, you could be a surgeon that earns $1 million a year, have already had your child in private school, and now you are eligible for tax dollars from the taxpayers to subsidize your child going to a private school, an elite school. So the waitress or the nurse that makes $75,000 a year is going to subsidize the private education of $1 million attorney. It's just ridiculous. And when you talk to the average person, they're looking at you like, wait a minute, what? I can make $500,000 a year, and you, the guy that's the welder, can help pay for my child to go to school? What? So we have those kinds of policies that just make no sense. And it's going to take those of us that have some sense to get elected so that we can change the policy.
You're listening to Jews Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we are talking with Pastor James Gailliard of the Word Tabernacle Church in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. And he is also one of the leading and probably the best candidates for North Carolina's state Senate seat, which we just learned, Henry, that's amazing. It's one seat, and they can break the supermajority. And then what that, I believe, means, Pastor Gailliard, is it changes the whole legislative outlook for the state. It changes how policy is going to be delivered, and particularly if the move is made, like you're saying, in terms of the other chamber in the House. Then North Carolina, and fingers crossed, if we're able to get, we've already got a great governor. They listen to me saying we like I live there. We've already got a great governor there in terms of Josh Stein. And if we were able to pull off quite a miracle and get former Governor Roy Cooper elected to the U.S. Senate, that's moving in the right direction. But to do all of that, it comes back to something that you said, and that's voter turnout, that's voter information, that's voter acknowledgement and engagement. When you look at that, Pastor Gailliard, how are you said that we haven't done a good enough job. Some of the things that we can do better that are meaningful in this short moment that we have.
Well, this is going to be really controversial.
Okay.
But I'm a straight shooter. Elections are big money. It's big business. It's big business for people that don't look like us. Mm-hmm. We don't run the mail shops. We don't run the print shops. So you take Roy Cooper's race is going to be $1 billion race. My state Senate seat is going to be a $4 million state Senate race. Historically, we put all of that money in mail shops, print, media, buy ads. We don't generally own the radio stations, generally speaking. What we're doing in our race is going to be a game changer, is we're flipping the paradigm. And we are running a precinct-driven race. So I tell people I'm not running in one district, I'm not running in 3 counties, I'm running in 54 precincts. And so we're flipping the model to be closer to the people. So we can get the messaging closer to the people. They can talk to the candidates, interact with the candidates. It's year-round organizing. People of color, and particularly rural people, we are not transactional, we are relational. So fundamentally, I just don't trust you when you come knocking at my door, ringing my phone once every 2 or once every 4 years asking me for something. But if we're interacting at a community level, my campaign right now, while we speak, is in a parking lot distributing food. So while we're interacting with people on a week-by-week basis, a month-by-month basis, and we build those relationships, we're going to be able to get those voters out to the polls. And let me say this. My goal is not simply to win this race. I want to make rural Eastern North Carolina the highest performing Senate district in the state of North Carolina. What that means, because our statewide elections are usually won by very narrow margins. What that means is if we outperform the ticket in this Senate district, Roy Cooper wins, Anita Earls wins, who we have to win. He's got to win the judicial race. It means Don Davis wins in Congress, even though they tried to strip him and steal that seat. It means we're going to pick up the 3rd Congressional District. So in their effort to take a seat from North Carolina, we're going to pick up a seat. So the wins really are in rural Eastern North Carolina. I'm so glad that you air into Warren County. I can't begin to tell you the significance of that and the importance of getting messaging out in those rural communities on these AM stations. So thank you for that.
Well, it's my honor to do it. And I guess you could say in many ways a prayer was answered to be able to reach as many people as possible with the message that we have as a station, but me specifically with my show. And that's another reason why I'm excited about coming down and doing the town hall fireside chat with you and Representative Pierce and Dante Pittman. And we'll, fingers crossed, we may have Roy Cooper join us as well, which could be, it pulls in all that you just said. It'll put people in touch that are voting in that part of the state and really the entire state in touch with the folks. And I have to share something with you. Yesterday, 2 of the people that I had on the show, one woman's name is Kristen Kroll. She is the executive director of a group called Fair Share America. She's here in Chicago, but they're based in D.C., and she's all over the place. She's the woman that drove the big green bus. So she didn't drive it, but had the big green bus go all over the country last summer, pushing back on the big, ugly bill. Another woman that we had on, Lavora Barnes, is the CEO of the Democracy Defenders in Michigan. I want to connect you guys because what you just said about building a business around how we recruit, how we train, and how we sustain our election tool has to happen. We can't just be in and out every 2 years or every election cycle. And Ms. Barnes talked about that exact same thing. It's got to be run like a business that's going to sustain itself and is repeating the good things about democratic politics. So I want to make sure that we get you guys connected because I think that you all are looking at this from a similar standpoint in terms of how we do have, this is part of the thing we got to clean up about our democratic side of this process. So I'll make sure we make that happen. But thank you for reminding us that we make the change and it's sustainable. We win elections. People benefit from it. It's not rocket science. It's a very quick, easy through line if you look at it that way. And that seems to be where you are. Pastor Gailliard, it's, as I've said so many times, and I'll say it over and over again, it's an honor to have you on the show. One of the things that I think a lot of people want to know is when you get there, what's going to be at the top of your list, the things that you're going to get done there for the state of North Carolina. But like Virginia in many ways, as North Carolina goes, so much of the country is watching. What are going to be your things that you tackle first in that Senate seat?
Well, let me tell you something. The single most important function of the General Assembly has not been accomplished this session. We're the only state in the country without a budget. Yeah. So the very first thing that I would do is to make sure that we have a solid appropriations package. Think of it like this, Richard. My principal job here as the pastor is to preach a sermon on Sunday morning. Can you imagine me coming out every single Sunday for an entire year saying to my church, there's no sermon today. There's no sermon today. There's no sermon today. I mean, and that's exactly what the General Assembly has done to the people of North Carolina. There's no budget today. There's no budget today. So they had time to redistrict of the first congressional district, but didn't have time to pass a budget. And this is what people have to recognize. Both houses, the Senate and the House, are Republican controlled. And in North Carolina, the governor doesn't have veto power over the budget.
No.
So they have no ability to govern. It's mind-boggling to me that the infighting between Republicans in the Senate and the Republicans in the House are so severe that they can't even pass a budget. And so the very first thing that I would do is to stand up a solid appropriations package that would benefit all of North Carolina, but especially rural Eastern North Carolina. And that appropriations package would really encompass us properly funding and fully funding public education. I would totally disband any opportunity scholarships that are currently out there. We cannot keep underfunding public education to the tune where we're promoting one group of kids, but we're damaging a greater group of kids. And so we need to fix that. And then we need to put some real emphasis on infrastructure in rural communities. Chicago, you wouldn't have reason to worry about something like this. But part of the reason we have such a difficult time in housing and business is because we don't have good infrastructure. We have gas, generally, we have water, but we don't have wastewater infrastructure. We don't have sewer infrastructure. And so I would be making sure that there was intense sewer infrastructure in rural communities that would stand up housing, development in those areas, and business. And so those would be the three things I'd go after first.
And those are the things that are going to have the most immediate change on those same voters that you want to have those relationships with. It's the sustainability items that allow them to say, I can live here comfortably, and as you say so often, not just survive, but to thrive. And I think that that's so important to those voters when you talk to them, that they can see that there is a through line. Electing not just me, Pastor James Gailliard, but others like me allows us to get stuff done. Michigan's done it when they've been in control of the state house and the state legislature. Illinois we've been blessed to be able to do it. Virginia now is gone that track, given that they've elected Ms. Spanberger and Ms. Ghazala Hashmi. So this is the same kind of approach that we need to see in North Carolina, and I'm so proud that you are one of the leading voices there. And I'm going to do my part to help out as best I can. So,
thank you,
Pastor Gailliard. We're going to wrap up, but let our listeners know, not just there in North Carolina, but also throughout the country, how they can follow you and how they can get involved and support you winning this Senate seat.
Yeah, and thank you again for highlighting the race and highlighting our state. JamesGailliard.com is my website. It has all the information about me as a candidate, as a human being, all my policy positions, so people don't have to wonder about where I stand on anything, because I'm out there and I'm very vocal about it. I'm writing on Substack at JD Gailliard, so I'm doing intense deep dives, 2,000 and 3,000 word segments on specific issues that are important. So would love them to follow me there on all the social media platforms at JD Gailliard. So I'm on TikTok and LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube and all the places. And I would love for people to contribute to my campaign if they're able to do that. If you have anybody in any of the 100 counties in North Carolina, this Senate race impacts every single voter, every single resident of our state. And I think we're going to get it across the finish line, and we're going to get a whole bunch of great candidates across the finish line as well. So, Richard, again, thank you for having me on again.
Absolutely, Pastor Gailliard, Morehouse man, for being with us this morning. I had to get that in there. So
tell him Morehouse man, but you can't tell him much.
Thanks for being with us, Pastor Gailliard. I'll see you in a few weeks, and we appreciate all that you're doing.
Thanks, man. Look forward to it.
Me too. All right, bye now. Henry, let's go to a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM down there in Raleigh. Listen to me. That's where I'll be flying into. Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Who is Kevin Ryan? Hey, that's me. I'm a Chicago public school teacher, union member, and Marine Corps veteran. Most importantly, I am a New Deal Democrat from a new generation, and I am running for the United States Senate to make our government work for all of us, not just the 1%. Now, you might not have heard of me because, well, I am just like you. I don't have millions of dollars to spend on TV ads, I'm not backed by a billionaire, and I've been excluded from the debates because I refuse to raise millions of dollars from the 1%. Instead, I am backed by ordinary people like you. I'm the only candidate to campaign in all 102 counties in my campaign school bus, and we fund our campaign by simply passing a hat around. So we thought we'd spend some of that money to introduce our campaign to you on WCPT radio. If you want to send a real progressive to the United States Senate and not another bought and paid for Democrat, go to kevinryan.com, spread the word, and vote for the candidate endorsed by Illinois progressives. My name is Kevin Ryan, I'm running for the U.S. Senate, and I approve this message. Paid for by people of Illinois and Kevin Ryan.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few scattered snow showers here for today with cloudy skies, a high into the lower 30s. We'll have southwest winds around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 25. Then for tonight, a chance for snow, freezing rain, and sleet mixing late, cloudy skies, and temperatures holding steady. By Friday, a chance for snow, freezing rain, and sleet mixing early, then becoming all snow, cloudy skies, a high of 37. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 19.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
Richard Chu's got his eyes on the truth. And you're right where you need to be. This is Chu's Views.
So, welcome back, guys. And as I was saying here in the studio, what a morning. What a morning we've had with our wonderful guests. Today on Live, Local, and Progressive, Joan Esposito will be taking your calls and talking to Laura Rodriguez, Senior Vice President of Governmental Affairs at the Center for American Progress Action Fund, Jane Kirtley, Professor of Media Ethics and Law at the University of Minnesota, and former Executive Director of the Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press, Illinois Congressman Mike Quigley, Laura Jadid, investigative and features journalist for Focuses of the American Conservative Movement and Far Right. That's Live, Local, Progressive here on WCPT, AM 820, heartlandsignal.com, and tune in. Tonight on Driving It Home, Patty Vasquez will be joined by Reed McCullum, chair of the Democratic Party of DuPage County, Ada Koskini, owner of Salon EDDA, and the Center of Beautiful Living. EDDA recently received the Neighborhood Champion Award for outstanding contributions to the Lincoln Park community. Chris Geidner, Minnesota-based award-winning journalist who has written for the New York Times, MSNBC, as it were, or MS News, BuzzFeed News, and publishes the Law Dork newsletter on Substack. That's Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays 5 to 7 here on WCPT, Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Tomorrow, here on Choose Views, my guests include Robert Held, Chicago and attorney and activist, Karen Byrne from True Blue Politics podcast, and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson for the February edition of This Month with the Mayor. And you guys know tomorrow is also the day that we have our WCPT Senate Candidate Forum featuring Raja Krishnamurthy, Juliana Stratton, and Robin Kelly. That's happening tomorrow at 1 p.m. Central. I'll be moderating the forum along with Joan Esposito and Patty Vasquez. The tickets for the event are now sold out, but you can listen to the live broadcast on AM 820, heartlandsignal.com. Tune in or watch the video stream on Facebook Live and YouTube. After the candidate forum, stay tuned for analysis and reaction from William Muck and Jill Wine-Banks. They'll talk to the three candidates, highlight the key moments from the forum, and also take your calls. WCPT's Candidate Forum is sponsored by Plumbers Local Union 130 and Iron Workers Local 63. There we go. A few weeks ago, we had a conversation with yet another member of this great bench of folks that are running for Congress, running for Senate, the House, state representative. We've got such a wonderful bench in our Democratic Party right now. And you guys also know that one of the people that I've talked with a couple of times is a woman named Shaughnessy Naughton, who is the CEO of 314 Action. What they do is they basically say, listen, we need to have more smart people running for political office. We need to have more people who are not just running, but know something specific about what they're running for and why they're running. And with us this morning is Dr. Thomas Fisher, who's been on the show in the past, and he decided to fight the Chicago morning traffic to make it into the studio to hang out with me and Henry and Mike this morning. Good morning, Dr. Fisher, and welcome to the show.
Good morning. It is a pleasure to be here. And Chicagoans know that if you leave just a little bit too late, what started out as a 15-minute ride turns into 25, and if you wait a little longer, it turns into 35.
It magnifies. I don't know what the multiple would be on that, but for every minute that you leave late in Chicago, it magnifies itself, because it's just not that you're going to be a minute late because you left a minute late. Yeah. The traffic and the commute, because it could be the train commute, it could be whatever, the bus and all the rest. And God forbid we get a snowstorm and then you left 2 minutes late.
Or summer construction season.
This is true.
You know, like you can't be late because the show doesn't go until you get here. It's the same in the emergency department.
Yeah.
If I don't get there, my colleague who needed to go home can't go home. So, you know, I pride myself on timeliness, and I snuck in just under the wire. So thank you for having me on here. It's exciting.
It's great. You are, by all measure, a real Chicago story. And remind our listeners, take a moment and just share what that means in terms of being a real Chicago story and an ER physician in this great city that we live in.
Yeah, I grew up on the South Side. I'm a Hyde Parker. I remember when I was a little kid, my first political experience was when Harold Washington became mayor, was elected. I might have been in kindergarten or first grade. I can't remember. I was a little kid. But I do remember being on my father's shoulders at a Harold Washington rally and feeling the energy of the crowd, the roar of excitement of a sea of black folks excited about the first black mayor. I mean, obviously, I didn't know what it meant to be the mayor or an election, but you know, the energy of a crowd is something you don't forget. Then, as I got a little older, Mayor Harold Washington lived in a building that overlooked a large park on 53rd and Hyde Park Boulevard. That park wasn't that far from my home.
Yeah.
I remember learning how to ride a bike in that park, and his Secret Service would be out front of his building.
Yeah.
There was a tree full of green parakeets. I don't know where they came from, but in that one park, in Hyde Park, there were parakeets. And I remember my parents talking to his security guard about these parakeets. There is now a mural on 53rd between Lake Park and Cornell with Harold Washington and these parakeets to commemorate that moment in time. But like, Chicago is a part of me. I went to Kenwood.
Yeah.
I remember when Benji was shot when I was not yet a teen, but very young. This town is a part of my blood, and I've been very fortunate to practice medicine in the community that raised me, because it allows for me to keep a pulse on that in ways that are very difficult. There are few places in society where everybody goes. If you are the CEO of a hospital or a corporation downtown, you can end up in a car accident.
Yeah.
You can have a heart attack. And if you are working every day driving a bus, you can slip on the ice and end up in my emergency department. And if you have nowhere else to go because life has dealt you a bunch of deuces when you needed aces, you also come to the emergency department. And so I've been fortunate to not just hear from, you know, the wealthiest and most privileged, but I hear from everybody. And that has helped me to remain in touch. Look, becoming a doctor is hard. The work is difficult. It's not like I have a lot of free time to sort of just hang out in all these places. But when I'm at work, not only do I get to serve, I get to learn.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that's so profound. Henry and I are sitting here going, Okay, this is the see what happens, Dr. Thomas, is that Dr. Fisher rather is we have we have these ebbs and flows with the show, and every show is great, but some shows are just stupendously great because of the word that you just use about learning. Mm-hmm. For me, half of what I do with the show is about learning, and then helping people anywhere in the country that are listening or following be able to learn something new about something that they may have been curious about politically, socially, economically, health-wise, but now they have a source to go to, a place to go to get a little bit more information. And so it makes me feel really, really good that that's sort of how you approach what you do as a physician immersed in people's lives at one of the most critical and challenging times of their life when they've got an emergency. Yeah. And they've got it's a critical moment. And sometimes it's not, having been in the emergency room myself, it might be, why is my throat feeling real scratchy and clogged up? I wonder if I had an allergic reaction to something. And maybe you don't need to go home and go to sleep. It's probably worth going, at least sitting. If I have to wait an hour in the emergency room, at least I'm there. To the other end of that, which is a shooting, a car accident, a building, a fire, on and on. So you are more than prepared to deal with that. And I appreciate what you said in the space about not having a lot of time. But let me ask you this, as I lay that all out, what is it that you've learned, at least in your observation, about people, about folk, about us, that's going to translate well into you being, quote, a politician and running, and not having run, but potentially winning this congressional seat? Yeah. How are you going to take that learning and then lay it over you as a congressional leader?
Yeah. So I've learned a few things. One of them is that because I've seen everybody, and often on their worst day, or maybe after a series of bad days, I've learned that we have this shared humanity, that everybody has the same fears, wants, and desires. And while a part of my job is knowing the clinical and pharmacological interventions that are required to get better, like that's competence, the other part is holding people's hands and helping them to understand the fears and hopes that we can get through. Now, I can't guarantee that everybody's going to get better because we only get out of this one way, right? And often that last moment is through the emergency department. But I can tell them that I'm going to be with them, that you can trust me, that I am not going to neglect them or elevate anything above what's going on here. And that is growth and learning. And that's about honoring our shared humanity. There's another part about it, which is the recognition that it's our policies that shape our lives. It's where we live, learn, work, and play. It's whether or not that red line actually can get you to work on time and you can keep that good job. It's whether or not you have housing that allows for you to spend on things besides just rent. Yeah. And I know in Inglewood and I know in West Garfield Park, people are spending 60% of their income on rent. Well, but after you buy some clothes and some food, that's it. Yeah. And if your car breaks down, that's a wrap. Yeah. That's why I don't really see this as pursuing politics. I see this as public service, that this is an opportunity to stand by my fellow Chicagoans and Cook County folks when we see Trump tearing away the things that we need, tearing away healthcare, tearing away the science foundation of medicine, tearing away our neighbors. That if you know that we are all one, like I do, like I've learned being in these moments when people's lives are changing, if you know that to be the case, then you owe something to each other. You got to protect each other. Like that's what caregivers do. That's what every mother understands, every father. And I think it's time that our public servants understand that too, and that our policies reflect the fact that whether or not we flourish, whether or not our years of life extend, depends on how we invest on a day-to-day basis. These policies, these budgets are moral documents. What we do in that emergency department is moral work. That's serving humanity. And so I tend to bring all that to policy. Now, I'm not naive enough to think that there's a hero. I'm certain there are no heroes in this game. But do we stand up?
Yeah.
Or don't we? Do we just pretend like, well, we can't fix it, so we're going to let it? No, our ancestors stood up. We stand up.
Yeah, we do. During this Black History Month, I've been making a point each day, excuse me, of highlighting unapologetically the folks that have stood up and not forsaking anybody that doesn't look like you and me necessarily, but showing that by standing up together, looking like a whole bunch of different folks on the rainbow, that we win. We win on so many levels. We win on just so many, and the baseline is humanity and dignity. I say this every week, many times during the course of the week. Mayor Johnson's, I think his superpower right now, love him or hate him, is that he understands the importance of protecting our humanity. And it's our responsibility to reach back and regain that, partisan conversation. As Democrats, we have that opportunity. But as folk, we are required to put that back in place. And it is without a doubt, it is the thing that is lacking right now on a national level in our country, is our humanity, our dignity has been wedged. There's other words I can use, but I can't use them on the air to create some levity in the moment. But that's part of why I ask everybody, what is it that you're going to tackle? You may have heard the interview prior to you with Pastor Gailliard down in North Carolina. What is it that you're going to attack first? And he, like you, policy that's going to change and have meaningful impact on people's lives right out of the gate. And you don't have the luxury, and I'm not saying this as a judgment, but you don't have the luxury, kind of like being in the ER, of walking in and learning what you got to do when you get to Congress, assuming you were to win the seat. You have to walk in the door, not hitting the ground running, but sprinting like, Usain Bolt, because we don't have time anymore to kind of wait and figure it out and learn. And you were probably, if anybody, one of the best in terms of knowing how to learn on the job, but you just got to get past all your fears and your blind spots. How are you going to, you know where I'm going with that?
Yeah, look, there are a few things. I mean, I think part of this denigration of our humanity is because of social media, right? These AI-based algorithms inflame us and help us, things are wrong. Everybody is experiencing these challenges, but then it becomes whose fault is it? It's the immigrants. Let's round them up. No, it's the Jews. Get them. No, it's the blacks. Like, we are actually all one.
Yeah.
And it's easy to fall back on the racism or the anti-Semitism or the sexism to blame. And instead, we need the sort of policies that recognize that people are being harmed. Like, the reason we have a 20-year life expectancy gap in this district is the way we live, learn, work, and play. There are things like the YIMBY Act that help to build property now, right, that we can pass. Trump just cut $2.1 billion from the Red Line extension project. Yep. Not only do we need to extend and upgrade the Red Line, we need to do the same thing on the Blue Line. Not only does that do things like allow people to quickly get to work or get to their healthcare appointments, it also facilitates productivity.
Yep, that's the other part.
Right? And it reduces tailpipe emissions. I spent all of this time driving here. I should have been on the Blue Line.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? I should have been on the Blue Line. And if we were in London...
Don't get me started, Doc. Don't even get me started.
I would have been, right?
That's right. That's right. I mean, and so that's the kind of stuff that, again, there's an important part of drawing a line. And it doesn't mean that someone's being partisan necessarily, but sometimes you have to draw the line and make a statement about certain things. We in our country, we owe our country more right now. And it's being missed because we don't have the right leadership in place that understands the connective value of each of us to each other.
Yeah.
And that, I know a lot of people might look at that and say that's all, pie in the sky and, kumbaya. But at the end of the day, if we don't fix that, we will perish, and no matter where you are on the economic scale, because even the billionaire class, they won't run out of money. That's not going to ever happen. They have to do repeated stupid stuff every day, every hour of the day to run out of money. But you can speak to this as well as anybody, and this is why I've been waiting for this moment. Whether the person is without resources to a certain level, or someone has enough money to fund a country.
Yeah.
When they end up on your table,
they're the same. They're the same. And I think this is why I worry so much about the divisions is even if we don't agree on everything, people agree on most things. And we have a political system that is divided because of a lot of dangerous issues, like the role of campaign. We need campaign finance reform. The role of money reshapes the way our elections work. Some of the most popular things are not policies because we can't get them. Gun control is popular, not just amongst Democrats, but amongst Republicans too. Gun owners want sensible gun control. Women's health issues, including abortion, are popular. Americans want that, but we don't have it because our democracy doesn't currently reflect the voice of the people. And getting big things done requires the sort of clarity about what is at stake morally, but also sort of the energy and courage to fight for it. And to recognize that when the iron is hot, you don't wait, well, let's just kick this can. No, now is the time. And then we're not going to solve it all in a 10-year period. Part of that requires also this conscious succession planning, building a bench to continue the fight over 50 years. We didn't get here overnight. It took hundreds of years to get here. We need this sort of multi-racial, multicultural, humanity-based process that extends into the future in order to ensure that we're better than we are ever. When I started medicine in 2001, I thought we'd be in a better place by now.
Yeah, and we were headed in that direction, and we've definitely gotten derailed. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we are talking with Dr. Thomas Fisher, emergency physician in South Side Chicago, and as well as a 30-year, veteran in this space, and running for Congress.
Yeah,
deciding to bring all that experience and knowledge and belief to a larger venue to help as many more people as possible. Dr. Thomas, one of the things that is a big issue for so many people is fixing our broken healthcare system.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a lot that you would be doing if you were to win this seat and be a member of Congress. But one of the things that I think a lot of people are asking for is how do we fix this broken system? And it is broken.
There are so many things wrong that I worry we've gotten really focused on sort of targeting individual components of it as opposed to recognizing it's the entire system that needs overhaul. Like, don't hate the players, hate the game. One of the things I think we can start with is improving the way we pay for it. Healthcare is exceedingly expensive and getting more expensive. The treatments that are required if you fall and break your leg, that's surgery, or you're undergoing cancer treatment, are more than almost anybody can pay, which is why we have an insurance system. They're basically a middleman between the costs and the people. To the extent that we refine that with Medicare for all so that nobody has to worry about being able to pay and nobody has to, and no doctor has to figure out what is the right place to send somebody, will extend lives and reduce suffering. But then we also have to get upstream of that. Like, our universities are the innovation engine of this country. That's where all of the treatments begin. The things that are going to cure me of cancer in 10 years are in development now. We need to make sure those things are still in development at a time when our government is assaulting science and our institutions. We also need to make them affordable. Because they are being developed with NIH and NSF funds, those are public goods. Yeah. It's very hard to commercialize it. I don't want to denigrate how much work it takes to create pure and reliable medications that extend across the entire country, but they have to be. If they don't get in your body, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, they would develop, but again, this goes back to kind of my conversation around. Getting elected is one thing, but it's what you get done that really matters to the people that elected someone to office.
Just to finish that thought really quick, we started negotiating those prices through Medicare, but we can do much better. Medicare for All allows us to do that across the board so that the same medications that are cheaper in Canada or in Europe, same drugs, we need to make that so that people in Inglewood get those medications.
A healthier, I've said this and versions of this for many years. So it's not about me saying it. And I know we're coming to the end of our segment and show. But the best form of defense for the country is a healthy, well-educated country.
That's right.
The more money we spend on defense as it relates to the military defense budget in our country, we've fallen behind. I was talking with my wife about this just last night, about where we've fallen behind. And I know this sounds like a critique and a whine. It's not. It's the truth. We've fallen behind these last 40 years when it comes to all areas of training and education and skill set development, and the list goes on.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily us versus them in terms of other countries, but we sometimes have to stop and look at what other countries might be doing that's a little bit better than what we're doing. We are not the only smart people on the planet.
That's right.
And so when you made the reference earlier about getting here, London comparison, that's just one of many. But we do have to take, I think, a different approach to how we're training and educating and fulfilling our folk when it comes to education and when it comes to care. Because if we don't defend that, then defending our borders is kind of worthless. Your thoughts?
Yeah, look, if we have a government that doesn't provide medicine to the sick, we've got Medicaid cuts. Doesn't provide food to the hungry, we've got SNAP cuts. And doesn't educate our young, what's the point?
Yeah.
This is a healthcare election, right? We are shredding our healthcare system at a time when our citizens are getting older, sicker, and our life expectancy is declining. This is our opportunity to take that first step forward to honoring our commitments to one another. This is a bigger question than just who can do it, but the question is, can we do it? Are we actually going to come together and make a future that's greater than our past? And while I recognize there are no heroes that will do it, I'm raising my hand to be part of that fight.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm fortunate that when you look around the country, there are a lot of people starting to step up. It's not just that we need more doctors in Congress, and we do. We need teachers in Congress.
Yes, we do. Look at what happened with Lieutenant Governor Hashmi. She's an educator, 30 years on the job as an educator.
Yes.
Sorry.
We need people with expertise, engineers.
Yep.
I'm hoping that I succeed. I'm running a race that should lead me to success, but you don't get to choose the outcome. You don't get to choose how you die. You choose how you live.
You do the work.
Yeah.
Do the work.
You show up every day.
Dr. Thomas Fisher, Chicago dude just like me, real Chicago stories. We're so blessed to have each other as partners in this fight. Thank you for hanging out with us this morning. How can folks find you and get involved in your race?
Thanks for having me on. ThomasFisherForCongress.com. We need donations. We need volunteers. We need folks who can phone bank. So please go to ThomasFisherForCongress.com and let's fix this together.
There you go. Guys, what a day. Thanks to Henry and Mike for truly, they put on extra sets of roller skates to make sure that we got things done today. Thanks to all of our guests, Dr. Fisher, who's with me right now, and from the top of the show, Greg Palast, who I'll be hanging out with this evening as he airs his movie Vigilantes out in Hinsdale, Lieutenant Governor Ghazala Hashmi, and candidate for Senate in North Carolina, Pastor James Gailliard. Wow. Thanks to everybody for listening. Thanks for folks tuning in. Everybody be safe today wherever you are in the country. Stay tuned for the Stephanie Miller Show. And as we say every day, take a deep breath and make your life count. We'll see you tomorrow.
Interested in debt-free education? It's one benefit of apprenticeship with Plumbers Local 130 UA of the greater Chicagoland area. These days, high school seniors need to rethink going to a four-year college and creating debt with no plan in sight. Students and their parents need to think about learning a trade that pays you to learn and create a career. Being part of Plumbers Local Union 130 UA achieves those goals. As an apprentice, you receive great wages, great benefits, including medical, dental, prescription drug, vision, and hearing. No college debt, 2 pensions, and access to union wellness centers and eye care with 0 deductibles and 0 copays. Admission to the plumbing apprenticeship program ends February 13th or with the first 2,000 submissions. Applicants have to be 18 years old and have a high school diploma or a GED certificate. See the full list of requirements and qualifications and apply for your future now at apply.jac130.org.
Active Liver from New Nordic protects your liver so you can enjoy life to the fullest. Online at Amazon or in stores at CVS, Wegmans, and now GNC.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. A judge has ruled on warrantless immigration arrests in Oregon. AP correspondent Mike Hempen has more.
A U.S. district judge rules ICE agents can't make warrantless arrests in Oregon unless there's a risk of escape. The ruling is in response to a lawsuit filed by a nonprofit law firm representing a man who was detained by immigration officers without a warrant, despite having a valid work permit. The judge issued a preliminary injunction in a proposed class action lawsuit targeting the Department of Homeland Security's arrest of immigrants during enforcement operations. Courts in Colorado and Washington, D.C. have issued similar rulings, and the government has appealed them. I'm Mike Hempen.
AP correspondent Donna Warder reports on the fatal crash of a rescue helicopter in Arizona.
Authorities say an Arizona Department of Public Safety helicopter responding to an active shooter situation crashed Wednesday night, killing the pilot and the trooper paramedic on board. The Ranger helicopter was on its way to assist officers from the Flagstaff Police Department and other agencies. The department will now be working with the Federal Aviation Administration and the National Transportation Safety Board to investigate the cause of the crash. The suspected active shooter sustained non-fatal gunshot wounds and was taken into custody.
Vice President J.D. Vance arrived in Milan with his family today, telling U.S. athletes competing in the Milan Cortina Winter Games that the competition, quote, is one of the few things that unites the entire country. It's the first stop for Vance on a trip combining diplomacy and sports. He's leading President Trump's delegation to the 2026 Winter Olympics and later stopping in Armenia and Azerbaijan in a show of support for a peace agreement brokered by the White House last year. This is AP News.
AP Sports, I'm Gethin Coolbaugh. Jalen Brunson had 42 points to help overcome 69 from Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray in the Knicks' 134-127 double overtime win against the Nuggets.
There's no better team to test our mettle against than the Denver Nuggets.
The Spurs won for the 4th time in 5 meetings against the Thunder, 116-106. OKC star and reigning MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander will be sidelined through the All-Star break with an abdominal strain. The Mavericks traded 10-time All-Star Anthony Davis to the Wizards. NHL, the LA Kings acquired Artemi Panarin in a trade with the Rangers. Injured Penguins defenseman Caleb Jones was suspended 20 games for violating the league's PED policy. MLB, the Tigers and All-Star pitcher Framber Valdez agreed to a 3-year, $115 million deal, and former World Series MVP Mickey Lolich died at age 85. Gethin Coolbaugh, AP Sports.
And I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few scattered snow showers here for today with cloudy skies, a high into the lower 30s. We'll have southwest winds around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 25. Then for tonight, a chance for snow, freezing rain, and sleet mixing late, cloudy skies, and temperatures holding steady. By Friday, chance for snow, freezing rain, and sleet mixing early, then becoming all snow, cloudy skies, a high of 37. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 19.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
The cost of mesothelioma treatments can exceed $400,000, and families often face losing their homes and life savings just to pay the bill. The Rights and Claims Department of Flint Cooper has helped victims secure financial support they need to pay for their care and ensure their family's future. If you've been diagnosed with mesothelioma and don't have legal representation, call Flint Cooper now at 800-606-8169. Time is running out for you to file a claim, so don't wait. Call 800-606-8169 for a free consultation.
Talking to your kids about the dangers of vaping can be hard. Getting them to listen to hot gossip is easy. So here's some drama you could share with your kid. Dude, did you hear about Cassie and Jake? No, but did you hear that vaping can cause irreversible lung damage and nicotine affects brain development? Nuh-uh. You don't need to gossip if you want to have an open conversation about vaping. So if you want to get tips on when and how to talk to your kids, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Tell me how you're doing. Really. Tell me that you missed the bus this morning, your rent's past due, and your stress level has skyrocketed. I'm here for you. To listen, not judge. To connect you to local mental health resources. No matter what you're going through, specialists like me from NAMI Chicago Helpline are here for you. Call or text Helpline to 833-626-4244. That's 833-626-4244.
Stand Up to Cancer asked leading cancer researchers to speak about why they do their work.
Two words come to mind for me. One is responsibility, the other is purpose.
It's just so inspiring to do research that impacts human lives.
Stand Up to Cancer has been a critical partner in advancing research for cancer.
Cancer research saves lives.
So please, help us fight in this battle against cancer.
Be a part of the team that ends cancer at standuptocancer.org.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's Progressive Talk from